What's up, beautiful people? It's your boy Joshua Martin, and today I'm going to share with you the pros and cons of my lenses that I use for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. So starting with the widest lens I have is the 8mm lens from SLR Magic, and I did a full review on this about a year ago. But just revisiting this, some things I just want to highlight. So the first thing is that it has a very unique perspective. Since this is a ultra wide quote-unquote lens, on the Blackmagic Pocket, it's roughly about a 15mm lens in terms of field of view. I think the biggest strength of this lens is that it has low distortion, so it's a rectilinear lens, so that just means it minimizes the distortion on the edge, so you won't have more of a fisheye look. It's more of just a straight edge wide angle lens, which is great. You can get some really great imagery out of this lens. Originally this was built, I believe, for Micro Four Thirds mounts on drones, but of course we can adapt this to the camera itself. And another pro is that it's small and light, so you can just throw this in your bag without any problem and just go. Now, pointing out some of the cons, it is only an f4 aperture, and so it's not your fastest, so you wouldn't be really using this in low light situations. And secondly, I think the design, if they were to redesign this lens, that'd be awesome. Right now it is kind of hard to work with, so what I've done, I just added a step up ring to use as the focusing. So I won't touch the complete lens all the time. And as well as the aperture ring, it's so small, so I will just set it and just kind of just leave it at that. This is not your running gun style lens, obviously, so just keep that in mind. So now moving on to the 18mm lens. This is my newest lens that I bought from Adorama. What I really like about this lens, this acts like my standard 35mm equivalent. This is quite versatile. I've used this just to walk around and grab some images that I need, as well as all of my YouTube videos. I've started using this lens for that. But the biggest con of this lens is very soft, wide open. So I would always try to shoot around f4 if possible if you pick up this lens. Other than that, this is the newer design of this lens, and I really like the direction SLR Magic is going. These more compact, uniformed Cine lenses that they're offering are a pretty good deal. I think the Sony E mount, the FST mount, the whole new line is coming out now, and as well as the Fuji X mount all have this same design. So kudos on that. I also did a full lens test for the Fuji X mount lenses, so you might want to check that out as well. Now getting down to the 25mm lens, one of my favorite lenses to use. This has a very fast t-stop at 0.95. Now obviously you want to be shooting with that unless you're going for a particular aesthetic, but having that wide fast aperture gives you a lot of flexibility to be really creative in how you use aperture. This lens has a lot of character in it, the way it blooms, the way it flares, the way the bokeh is rendered in the background. It's just really nice to look at and to use. I've used this on many occasions, corporate shoots, creative shoots, YouTube stuff, all of that. The build quality is solid, even though it's a very small lens. It's completely metal all the way through. The gears are clickless, and it has a very smooth focusing ring as well. They are making new rehoused versions of these lenses, so you might want to check those out. They look just like the 18mm lens, so if you don't pick up this one, make sure to check out the new rehouse as well. To be honest, I don't have any cons with this lens. I really love using this lens, and if you don't have this, you might want to check this out. Now moving on to the king of bokeh. This lens is probably one of the best lenses you can use to get very shallow depth of field on your Micro Four Thirds mount, on your Micro Four Thirds camera in general, from the GH5 to Blackmagic to whatever. The 50mm lens, which is roughly a 100mm equivalent. This is a beautiful piece of glass. It is sturdy, it is heavy, it has beautiful fall off, it's milky in the skin. A lot of the characteristics from the 25 are in this lens as well. Now a couple of things I want to mention with this lens. There are some cons with this lens. Now in terms of build quality, I haven't had the greatest experience with this. For some reason, after a while, the screws of the mount of the lens gets loose, and so you'll get a lot of play after a while after using it. So you can easily fix this. You could just take off the back, screw in the screws again and tighten it, but don't over tighten it. I think that's what's happening with this. So that's why this lens isn't perfect. The build quality over time does wear. And another one is the gear position. So this is a much older lens, one of the earlier designs, I believe. And so as you can see here with the 25mm lens versus the 50, the T-stop ring on the 50 is near the front and the focusing rings are in the back, and vice versa for the 25. The T-stop rings are in the back and the focusing rings are in the front. So obviously having that switch is quite annoying in my opinion if you're using a follow focus with these smaller lenses. So that's one thing I would kind of knock, but they are changing the design, which is really good. But these are lenses that I have right now. So yeah, that's really all I wanted to share. Nothing too in depth. There will be more deeper reviews coming in the near future, but this is just a general overview of what I've used, some b-roll you guys can see. And there are a few reviews already on my channel with the 25 and 8mm lens, so go check those out. But if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below and I'll make sure to get to them as soon as possible. So until then guys, oh, before I forget, I guess an honorable mention, I do use the Micro Four Thirds Anamorphic 2-time lenses. So if you want to check out some footage of that, check out my latest short film, Lost Souls, as well as the many reviews I have on these lenses as well. So make sure to check those out. But until then, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.